Good. Okay.
Sorry we missed you on Saturday.
Yeah, Bruce and I had we had a lot of good one-on-one time. So I know, hey, I know who's got my back. I know who my loyal guy is. Bruce had me here. So, all right, guys, fire away.
So what have you seen from Washington so far?
It's a team. They're playing a lot more man than they played in the past. Obviously, still got the zone, which is always gets your attention because it's unique and they probably do it better than most. And they're pressing a lot. They're being pretty aggressive. And lineup wise, they're playing small. They're playing small with a lot of quick guys that are aggressive hunting shots and looking to penetrate.
Did you watch any of what Terrell Brown did when he was at Arizona last year?
And not much. You know what I mean? I saw, I watched a few games when I got down here just to kind of get a feel for the guys. But, like I said before, I didn't want to do a deep study because I wanted to go in with a pretty clean slate, for everybody. So I didn't watch him much. And obviously the guys that were here last year know him better than I do, but it looks like he's a heck of a player.
Did you talk to Jack and maybe some of the guys who were here last year about the kind of player that Terrell Brown is?
A little bit. We've had some of those talks, but nothing crazy. We're preparing, for their entire team like we would any other team.
Are they kind of scary in that sense that they've got a lot of individual talent, but it doesn't appear that they've kind of put it together?
Well, for sure. Anytime you're playing your first conference game and you're a new coach in a new job, everything's can be scary. So, and then I know. Coach Hop really well. He's a good friend, and they play a unique style. And you've probably been zoned a little bit, but you might not have been zoned like their zone. So you're always interested to see how your team's going to react.
What do you think? I know it's different than when you're in the WCC, but conference now playing a couple games early like this, how does this hit you as far as where you're at?
I honestly haven't given any other thought. It's the schedule that they put on my desk, so I'm just approaching it day to day, and Washington's next up on the schedule, and so I'm treating it like that. I know there's some different meaning to it because it's a conference game, and you're 0-0 in conference at the moment, so it's important to try to get off to a good start.
How big was that game each year for Gonzaga in terms of would it be called a rivalry by the Gonzaga people?
I think for sure. There's it's a geographical. You're close, and it was a big game for both schools, and a game that we always look forward to playing.
Were you interested in the Washington job when Lorenzo left?
I never got a call, so I've always, lived a pretty simple life and never lived in hypotheticals. So, if they never called, then I never had interest. It's as simple as that, because I never, had any tried any premonitions or any thoughts, trying to see if I ever wanted to coach at Washington, and I promised myself I would never do that until somebody called.
It's obvious that they bought into your system. How long did it take for them to actually buy in? And that's the first question.
The guys are great, and they seem to be on board with everything, and they're doing a really good job taking coaching. When we tell them something's important and we got to work on this, they seem to understand that and make it a priority. So I've been most proud of that. As for the buying into the system or this and that, to me that's a day-to-day thing, and you could have a possession or two, it looks like they're all bought in. You could have 5 possessions where it looks like 2 guys aren't bought in. So for me that's an ongoing thing, and just playing good team basketball and understanding how we want to be effective and areas of the game we want to prioritize. But all in all, I do feel really good about where the guys are, where they're at with how we want to play.
At what point did you kind of say, hey, we have something here?
I think I thought that right away. When we started doing workouts in the spring, you could see some talent. And I was able to see some things, that I thought were pretty glaring that we needed to work on. And then we approached it with just a day-to-day approach. And, one thing led to the next, led to the next, led to the next. I didn't have a flow chart up in my office of here's how we're going to put the system in. It was just, one day, and then something would pop its head up. Let's see if we can address that, and then onto this, onto this, onto this.
Has there been
anything that the team has done well that's really shocked you or surprised you from the start of the season till now?
I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I'm most happy with the overall effort that they've played with. I mean, I would put our effort probably a little bit ahead of our execution, which is a good thing. I mean, everything's you can execute great, but if you have low effort, you're going to have poor results. And our effort's been high. So to me, just how consistently high effort we've been able to play with has been, I mean, something you strive for, but it's been a real positive and a good surprise.
Is that something that you talked to them about? It would have been easy to have a letdown after Las Vegas taking on Sacramento State. The effort, the energy, the intensity was there. Is that something you addressed?
Well, for sure. We always talk about wanting to be the hardest playing team and talk about what that looks like, what that feels like. I mean, that's something, we talk about and try to do on a daily basis.
Your offense lend itself towards all those assists you're getting, or does it have more to do with the guys who are in it?
I mean, it's a system that's, that emphasizes sharing the ball and making a bunch of simple, quick decisions. I always tell our guys, I'm not looking for perfect decisions. I'm looking for just quick, simple decisions. And, the baseball analogy is you can win with walks and singles. If you get a lot of those, you're going to have runners on base, you can score. And so that's kind of how we look at it. And then, then the players have to buy into that. And they're the ones out there making the passes and setting their teammates up, not me. So, I mean, it probably goes hand in hand.
Did he miss any time this week?
Yeah, he's been good. He's fine. Christian's fine. He's a tough kid. He's obviously having a great year and he's practicing. So, I'm
Time even early in the week
Nope.
with the soreness? Or,
Nope.
Can you talk about the job your 6, 7, and 8s have done coming off the bench, making sure that they keep things going while you get your starters some rest?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't look at it as 5 starters or first string, second string. I mean, we got 9 guys that are really contributing on a consistent basis. We got 2 young guys off the bench I'm really excited about, and I think it's important to value all of them, and I try to do the best I can, talking with them, meeting with them, showing them how much I appreciate them, and keep telling them ways they can keep trying to help us. And they've been great. I mean, they're really, I'm comfortable with all of them, and as comfortable with those guys as I am with the guys in the starting 5. So we're really fortunate to have good depth and but the crazy thing about college basketball, these seasons are long, and you can be deep one day and you're 2 ankle sprains away from being thin. So you just got to kind of take it day by day.
Is there anything about their press that is particularly unique, or why they're forcing so many turnovers?
Well, I mean, their defense forces a lot of turnovers, and it's a very aggressive, active zone, and they've got it mastered. I mean, they understand angles, and the premise is, a lot of us coaches have, we love man-to-man offense and running all these plays against man, but then most coaches against zone don't do much, or they might only have 2 plays and they have 15 man plays, so Hop understands that. So he's seen it all, done it all, and he understands how people attack zone, and I'm sure they practice their zone the way people attack it, and so they kind of feel like they're one step ahead of you at all times. I think with their press, I think when you're a zone-based team, you have a certain advantage when you press because you're not so man-centric. You're more zoned up, and you maybe we might run some movement in a press break to try to to create some openings on the floor. Running a cutter here, running a cutter there, and a traditional man team would probably be influenced by that. A team that is zone is not influenced by that as much. They're more guarding the ball in areas. So, I mean, I felt it firsthand. At Gonzaga, we were, I think, up 9 points with like 5 minutes to go in a Sweet 16 game against Syracuse, and felt like we're in control, and they pressed and kind of flipped it on us. So, it was one of the things that caused it. So it's a challenge. It's a definite challenge, and they look like, to me, they're committed to it.
As a guy who grew up in Washington, what was your perspective of their program?
I grew up 2 hours from Seattle, but I'm a small town boy, and so we didn't go up to the big city too much. And then I lived in Eastern Washington for 22 years, and there was always a little bit of a rivalry between, our little outpost in the big city. So, I mean, Seattle's great. It's great to visit. I never was a huge Husky basketball guy or anything like that. So, I mean, no different than any other place for me.
Oregon State is pretty close to Kelso too, isn't it? I mean, and
But I've never been there in my life. So it's gonna be my first trip. You're gonna have to show me around.
How dedicated the fan base is here, given the fast start, do you get any sort of sense of buzz?
Well, I mean, listen, hey, we got a great fan base, but to be honest with you, I haven't felt it. I mean, these games don't feel any crazier to me. Like, I'm looking up in the stands, there's a lot of empty seats, and, you know, it just seems to me everybody's got an excuse why there's people not at the games. And I get COVID's a legit excuse. I get that. But, you know, I mean, I'm excited to feel what McHale was like when I played here last as a road team. That's what I remember McHale as. So, you know, we got to earn that. And obviously people are waiting to see what we're doing, and we've got to earn the fan support. I mean, that's the way I'm approaching it. We're not going to beg for it. We're going to go out and put the best product we can out there, and we're going to play our hearts out. And then if they choose to come watch us, we'll be excited.
Tomorrow, there's going to be a moment of silence for Coach Olson and a tribute. Now that you've been around the program and you were at his memorial and you kind of see his influence over this, what's your reflection on Coach Olson and what he really built here?
Well, I mean, I think to me what I've taken away from it is just the impact he had on the community. And, you know, this is a guy I've never heard anybody say a bad word about. You know, he was beloved. And it wasn't just winning; it was just, you know, his relationships with people, and so that's what I've really taken away. And, you know, and then he obviously came here. You know, I've heard the stories that you know, I mean, Tucson and University of Arizona were kind of not well known, and he came here and was able to kind of, you know, put it on the map for everybody. And I think this town and university appreciate him for that and continue to show that.
him or meet him when?
I met him once. I met him once at a Coaches versus Cancer event in Spokane, and, you know, I mean, I was a young assistant and he was a legendary coach, and I shook his hand and, you know, probably had a few words in passing, and that was it.
When you look at the Oregon State matchup, how much will that prepare your team having a true road game before, you know, you get into the meat of the conference?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be good. I mean, I'm just looking at our month of December, and it's tough. You know, you got two conference games to start out with, you know, one of them being a road game, and, you know, you got a Wyoming team coming in that's undefeated. You got Illinois team that I watched a couple nights ago on TV, looked really good. You know, you got Northern Colorado and a Cal Baptist teams that are having off to good starts, and then, you know, you got, I think we're at Tennessee, right? And then, you know, your first two conference games are at UCLA at SC. I mean, that's a lot, you know. And so, you know, we're gonna try to approach it day by day, week by week, and you know, and do the best we can coming out on the right side of those games. But it's a daunting schedule, and you know, I mean, it's going to be experiences this team needs. You know, you can use the old adage, "Oh, we're going to learn a lot about this team." Well, whatever. This team's going to need those experiences because they're going to serve them well, you know, as you get into your January, February, and hopefully your March to the postseason.
So when you talk about that schedule coming across your desk, when was the first time you looked at it, and did you say, "Oh my God, December looks tough," or anything like that? Or?
I mean, I didn't get that far ahead. I was just like Eastern New Mexico. I mean, that was kind of how I took it, and week by week, and to be honest with you, I had to look at it like this morning to figure out how it all laid out the rest of the month, because I know this week what we got. We got Washington at home, Oregon State on the road, and that's about as far as I've gotten.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Have a
Coach.
good one. We'll see you tomorrow.
So, Kim, how much does this upcoming game versus Washington mean to you personally?
To me, you know, being in Washington for about 5 years of my life in college, it was a huge thing because at Eastern we had a contract where we would play Washington and we would go in. So I've actually played against, you know, Jalen Noel and Matisse Thybulle at one point in my career, and like we didn't always come out with the best outcome. But now playing here at the University of Arizona, I now have a chance to actually beat this team.
And then one of those guys on the team you played last season when you were at Eastern Washington, which was Terrell Brown here at Arizona, now at Washington. What do you remember going up against them, and what kind of player is he like?
He's definitely a shooter. He wants to get downhill and get his points, but he likes getting his teammates involved too. So he's in that tricky aspects of things. But I think if we contain him, we can contain the Huskies.
He played last year here without having fans, and you had mentioned how different it was being here with nobody here as opposed to the first time playing here with fans. What was that like the first time you played here with fans compared to not?
I think it helped us as an Eastern team, or my past Eastern team, a lot because of the no fans. You know, we weren't subjected to the fans and the cheering that they would do for Arizona. And now being on the part where I actually have Arizona on my side, it's helping me out. But I think when he actually comes here and be like, man, I wish I still had this, he may get nervous.
Jim, when did you guys realize, or maybe you realized when you had something here with the guys and how you're playing well? When did that start?
I think it started as soon as everyone got back. Like when Adama came in from France, when I came in from Washington State, when O came from Gonzaga, when everybody just came, we just all started clicking together and just became a family because we knew there was something here that we could do to bring Arizona back to what it was, to what it is.
Was it on the court or off the court that started?
I think off the court. It has to start off the court before it can start on the court. We started building bonds, going to each other's places, talking, chatting, laughing. And from there, we just brought the off-court stuff on the court, on-court stuff off the court, but making sure everything is still positive. And sometimes there's negatives, but that's how we got to do as young men, to come together and be like, okay, this isn't right, and, grow from it.
What's it been like just playing the role you have? Obviously different than last year where you were, at all conference, they depended on you to be a go-to guy, but here you're coming in and playing, giving them a boost right off the bench. And how has that been? And is that what you kind of thought it would be, or so far?
I came in talking to Murph and saying, I don't mind coming off the bench because it's something, I have to do to learn. If I want to play at the next level, it's something everyone has to do. There's not always going to be that one KD guy to just come in and automatically start because he's so talentedly gifted. So I said coming off the bench isn't no problem. Coming into practice every day, trying to make guys better like Zoo, just trying to show him my best effort every day so he can get better and, provide for us on the court when he's starting. But it's definitely no problem for me. I just really want to win, and that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, you got and I think you've got the best 3-point percentage. I didn't know, has it been tough at all to come off and have that rhythm going right away? Coming into a game sometimes kind of cold. It doesn't appear that way. I just wondered if it's a different mindset or how that's going.
Definitely a different mindset because I have to be selective on my shots. I try to get more of my other teammates involved. But I think the 3-point percentage is just, like I mentioned a couple of months ago, is that me working with Corey Kispert, he's actually helped me tune up some things. And shooting every day with Ryan Anderson, our GA, has definitely helped out a lot too.
So you played, do you remember off the top of your head, it'll go good up, but you played Washington, at least twice?
Twice, maybe 3 times.
You've got as much experience as anybody here against
yeah.
that. Yeah,
and the last time I played them, they were in that zone as well too. So.
Right, a lot of talk about that, the zone and how crazy it can be. Was there any moment you remember against that where, you struggled to get pass or shot off or anything that that made it different than any other zone? Or?
Well, my first collegiate game, I had to play against Syracuse my redshirt freshman year, and that was actually really tough to get a shot off on. But with their guard front, they're not as tall as the Syracuse forward front, I would like to say, because they're all 6'5" and above. So I don't see there shouldn't be any issue getting a shot off.
As somebody that's gone up against this zone, what do you say to players on the team that haven't faced it yet? What's your advice to those guys?
We've been going through it in practice, trying to figure out where the shots will come from, and Coach Lloyd has been doing a very good job of, helping the guys out and like where they're going to get their shots, where the ball is going to be entered from. So what I would tell the guys is that we pretty much just have to be, smart with our shots. We can't go in trying to force shots up and everything because the zone is still a zone and it's meant for you just to shoot the ball, but there's other things you can do to a zone.
So. I wonder if the coaches do they ever ask you things like when they're scouting opponents, because Washington, Sacramento State, from last year at Eastern, does it ever come up like, hey, I did this against them, we got to watch out for that or anything?
Coach Lloyd actually did say, "You're a defensive player of the year in the Big Sky, right?" I said, "Yeah." So you know about Bryce Fowler, and that's who we just finished playing. And I said, "Yeah, he likes to, pump fake and go left and everything like that." So I kind of helped him out. And DT asked me a little bit some things too on Bryce because he was guarding the majority of the time.
Fast start this year as a team, maybe proving some folks wrong. How much weight does that carry for you all at this point in the season? Is there some pride there, or is it just too early for any of that to matter to you? How much does that matter to you now? Some quick start.
You pretty much just said it. It really doesn't matter to us. We're just with each other. We know we have a locker room full of guys that's for each other, and when we go out on the court, we're with each other, and we're trying to represent Arizona the best way that we can.
Some of the Washington guys, they're known to play, there's a lot of games and pick up leagues or whatever in Seattle. I didn't know if you ever came across or joined any of them, or did any of that ever come to Spokane where you played? I mean, in other words, have you come across any of these guys in the summertime?
Not necessarily. I've pretty much been the Eastern Washington guy, so playing with John Stockton and the Gonzaga guys on that side of the state.
Anything else for Kim? All right, thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.